How the housing crisis is really hurting retirement for a lot of people. This is not something that should be overlooked. I'm just telling you right now. And we're going to need to get to the bottom of this somehow. I don't know how we figure this out. I mean, I know how. We got to stop the massive, insane regulation. I mean, look what's going on in LA now. They got to get the stupid Governor Bass, whatever the hell her name is, to freaking approve people building where they used to have a home. It's insanity. Regulations hurt. We just don't have enough housing. And as such, there's a lot of people that previously would be in houses building up equity, and they're not doing it now. That's a big deal. From a societal perspective, first and foremost, housing ownership creates stability. No one would ever say that there's renting is more stable than home ownership. Home ownership creates stable environments. That's just a fact, Jack. What is it? Larry Summers says, no one ever returns a used car with a fresh wash. No one ever says, I'm going to return my car. I'm going to give it a wash. No one ever does that because they don't own it. Why would I wash something I don't own? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And the same thing with housing. If you don't own the house, you're less likely to take care of it. You're more likely to let it go to poop. All right, this is just basic stuff here. So we know from a society perspective, we want homeowners. We want stability. We don't want mobility necessarily. Like I got to rent over here, rent over there. That's not what we want. We want stable neighborhoods with homeowners who value and have pride in ownership. But now from a financial perspective, we're going to go over some numbers here. And what we're going to do is going to use a median household income. Median household income right now is $70,000. Now, household income could be an individual, but also could be a couple. Charlotte and I are a household. She makes a little bit of money. I make pretty good money. That's a household. Now, we're not talking salary. I don't want anyone to confuse this with salary. This is median household income. Maddie and her boyfriend, we'll call him Brian. It's not Brian. I just don't want to give anything away. But let's just say they're just starting out. They move in together. That would be a household. Right now, Maddie is single, so that's a salary. That's still a household. You see what I'm saying? I hope that there's a big difference, and I think some people don't get this. They don't get the difference between a household and a salary. They're two completely different things. But anyway, we're going to use median household income. And what the normal rule of thumb is for buying a house is 28, basically the debt to income should be between 20, when you're getting a mortgage, I should say, 28%, used to be 35, sometimes it's 36%. I think they even went as high as 44% during the great crisis, the real estate collapse. So basically 28 to 36% is generally speaking the debt to income ratio you should have to be able to buy a house to qualify for a mortgage, all right? And so if the median household income is $70,000, a 35% debt to income is on the high end, you would qualify for a $24,000 annual mortgage, which is just principal and interest. That's it. That doesn't include property tax or homeowners insurance. So $35,000 of $70,000 is $24,000 a year, which is a $2,000 a month mortgage payment. $2,000 a month gives us a $300,000 home. All right. There's literally none in my whole zip code. There is no $300,000 homes right now in the market in my entire zip code. We're talking hundreds of thousands of people live in my zip code. There is no I don't know how many people live in my zip code. Tens of thousands, maybe not hundreds of thousands. Yeah, probably not hundreds of thousands, but tens of thousands. There is no $300,000 home in my zip code. None. Isn't that crazy? Because we're in an upper affluent zip code. Nuts. Now, if you go a couple ways south, all right, there's a number of homes, but not a huge amount. And if you go someplace west, way up north to Dahlonega, for heaven's sake, there's some houses. We're not talking huge amounts of availability there. So anyway, someone with a median income, household income, that's a median household income is $70,000 in the United States. That's not just young people, that's anybody. And that gives us to qualify for a mortgage, again, 35% debt to income, a $300,000 home. There ain't that many out there. It's crazy. At least in my neck of the woods. There are some other neck of the woods, but if you're in a place that you can have more affordable housing, you're probably not getting a median household income either. Why do people not get this? If because the median house right now is about $400,000 in the United States. That's the median house. The median household income is $70,000. So we have a big disconnect because the median household income should be able to only buy us $300,000. This isn't rocket science. And again, that's at the high end of the debt to income ratio that most banks use to say if you can qualify for a mortgage. All right, so now I just want to show you how valuable owning a home is. So we got a guy who's got the median household income, $70,000. We're going to inflate that by 3% a year. He pays $2,000 a month or $24,000 a year in his mortgage. And you can see his debt to income ratio the first year is 35%. After year 5, he's making $81,000 a year, a 3% inflation. All right, so $70,000, 3% for 5 years has grown to $81,000. His expense on his home is still $2,000. He has a fixed rate. Oh, by the way, I'm using this at a 7% mortgage rate, by the way. So 360 months, 7% is our mortgage interest, 0 is our future value, 300,000 is our current value. What's the payment? The payment is $2,000 a month. That's what I'm just using right here. So we got a $300,000 mortgage at 7% a year. It costs $2,000 a month. $2,000 a month, you can see it stays flat. But our income isn't staying flat. Our income's growing, and so by the end of year 20, I'm amortizing this for 360 months, but I'm just stopping at year 20 just because I didn't feel like going to year 25 and 30. But if we stop at year 20, we're making $127,000, but our mortgage is still only $24,000 a year. So our debt to income has basically gone in half almost, from 35% to 19%. All right, but it gets better. So now we can say, oh yeah, we can easily carry this mortgage now because the mortgage is fixed at $2,000 a month, but our income is not fixed. That's a huge difference on what's happening in terms of buying a fixed rate mortgage in an inflated society. This is the value of a mortgage that's fixed as opposed, and the fact, the value of inflations as well. All right. On top of that though, here's our income, $70,000. We know we're paying $24,000 on a mortgage, which means we're left with $46,000 for other things. And we're going to say we consume all of our $46,000. We consume it. We spend it on dog food. We spend it on new t-shirts. We spend it on PVC pipes. We spend it on going out to eat, blah, 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 blah. All right. So again, we have the median income, $70,000. That's our income right there. $24,000 of that is consumed. In this case, 35% of that is consumed by our mortgage interest. Our mortgage, I should say, which leaves us $46,000. We're going to say we have no ability to do anything else. That's just consuming all of our income. So we have zero free cash flow. Zero free cash flow. We're like, oh man, I can't save. This is where consumption smoothing that Larry Kolikoff talks about in his book, Spend at the End, is such a big deal. You're like, I can't save. I'm never going to be able to retire because I'm supposed to be able to save 20% of my income. How do I do that when I can't hardly pay for this mortgage? Well, what happens is in 5 years, our $70,000 has grown to $81,000. All right. Our mortgage is still $24,000. That $46,000 that we consumed in year 1 at a 3% clip is now $53,000. So just assuming a straight inflation of 3% on all of our consumption, that $46,000 is now $53,000. All right. So we take 24 plus 53. That means our total expenditures, our day-to-day consumption, which was $46,000 in year 1, is now $53,000 in year 5, plus our mortgage is $77,000. So what does that leave us? It leaves us free cash flow of $4,000. Pretty interesting, is it not? Yeah. Before we had no free cash flow, now we do. We have free cash flow of $4,000. Well, let's keep going. Year 10. Now we have $94,000 of income, assuming a 3% inflation. Our expenditures plus the mortgage is now $62,000 because again, it was initially $46,000. We inflated that $46,000 at 3%. That's $62,000, but our mortgage has stayed flat, $24,000. So now we have $8,000 of free cash flow. $94,000 minus our total expenses is $86,000. Gives us right here, $86,000, right there. 94 minus 86, we have $8,000 of free cash flow. Money we could invest. Keep going down to year 20. Now we have $127,000 of income. Our mortgage is still $24,000, amigos. Our expenditures, which was $46,000, now $83,000. All right? So 24 plus 83 is 107. Now in year 20, we got $20,000 of free cash flow. Again, so if we're investing all this money, it's $12, $26, $46,000 of free cash flow that we should be investing. But we're not investing if we're renting. We're not, because rents also go up with inflation. So I looked here in Georgia. I looked at my own place. There's no rents for $2,000 a month right here. You might have to get a roommate or something like that. But that's the median freaking household income. You got to get a roommate? It's crazy. It's crazy. So anyway, the rents right here, I thought, it must be much cheaper. I looked at a couple other places. Said, no, the rents are just as expensive, if not more so, than a mortgage. It's crazy. So the rents are actually going up as well. Now, do we know the rents will go up as 3%? I don't know, but I mean, that just makes sense. Rents will go up with inflation most likely. Not all the time. I get it. Well, we had neighbors when we lived in Virginia that hadn't had a rent increase for freaking 20 years. You know what I'm saying? They were paying like $250 a month for their rent. It was great. That's not likely to happen to your kids. So the rents are going up. The rents are even just as expensive, if not more expensive, than a mortgage. And as the rents are gobbling up more of their income, because the rents are keeping track with inflation, which means they don't have any free cash flow. This free cash flow can be used to invest. So what was $4,000 in year 5 is $5,000 in year 6, blah, 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 blah. So by the time these guys are 30 years old, all this free cash flow can be invested and they have no mortgage. What happens to the people over here who are renting? They don't have any free cash flow to invest and they still got to rent. And the rents are going to be through the roof because of 3% inflation. Now again, it's not going to work just like this, but you get the gist of this. This is a big deal, man. And look, I blew it off too. I did. And my daughter's like, Dad, you don't understand. I said, no, come on, man. You can buy a house. You know what I'm saying? I looked around. I said, there's some houses at $350,000, but not in the area for which she works. Just not. Thankfully, she works remotely. She can literally move in freaking Kodiak. What is that place in Alaska called? Kodiak, Alaska, or something like that. I don't know what the hell it's called. But you know what I'm talking about. I guess Kodiak, Tennessee is where the Knoxville minor league baseball. Was it Kodiak? Yeah, Kodiak, Tennessee. But I'm talking like Alaska. She can literally work anywhere. But if you don't have a job where you can work anywhere and you can find an affordable house, what is your median income going to be? The same as the affordable house? No, your median income is going to be lower. It's just that simple. No, they got a lot of cheap houses in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, where the hell that is. Well, what's the the median household income down there? You see what I'm saying? These things work. I mean, people aren't stupid. If the median household income is over here, the median house cost can be over there too. You can't get the median household income higher than the median house cost. People are gonna. That doesn't make any sense. They're gonna be congruent, if that's the right word. I don't know if the congruent's the right word. Is it congruent? No, similar, but either way. So this free cash flow is what people can use to retire, to invest year over year over year. Renters don't get that in this scenario here. And this scenario has become more and more common. So what's the answer? I don't know necessarily, but we got to get people in houses that they can own. Just a fact. And I don't, people like the price is going to fall. Maybe. And we're talking though, the median net worth, the median home is $300,000. That right now, the median on the median household income can qualify for a mortgage, a 35% debt to income of $300,000. That's with a pretty significant mortgage. This median home in America right now is $400,000. 33% more than that right there. And yet the median household income would not support, within the debt to income ratio the banks will look at, of a $400,000 house. It wouldn't. Something has gone wrong. And I just tell you, man, until we get this fixed, it's not just about interest rates either. It's just not. I mean, lowering interest rates would be a huge boom or boon, whatever, to mortgagees. But, at the end of the day, I think interest rates are right now at their neutral level, and we're probably going to stay there because I like having 4% interest. Anyway, it's a big deal. And I wish more people like myself could be educated on this, because I have been educated on it. I looked at it. I said the median household income does not support the median household cost. It just doesn't. And as such, something has got to give. And I don't know what it's going to be to get us where we need to be. All right. Love your thoughts. Let me know what you're going through. Like, you got kids or something like that who are getting hurt by this, but being squeezed? Look, I talked to tons of clients who've got a 25-year-old son still at home, 22-year-old daughter still at home. Tons of them. because the price of housing is just too expensive. And anyway, all right, God bless. We'll see you.